Hello, traders. Good evening to you. I want to call your attention to a simple but ambiguous setup I have identified here on the EURJPY. At the first sight on what is happening on the 4 hours time frame, the first thing I noticed is that price has been respecting a bullish trend line since on the 12th of May of this year. We can see that price has been respecting that bullish trend line as at no point in time price come below the trend line, giving us a scenario that looks like a trend continuation to the upside. And so the first thing that will come to our mind is that there is a possibility that price will probably respect this bullish trend line and push price further to the upside. But we cannot just jump into such a conclusion, as we need to look at what structure has been depicting in the last couple of weeks. It is obvious that since the beginning of the month of June, price has been trending to the upside, and we have a scenario that looks like with a bullish impulsive move, and price came back to test that area. But one thing I noticed is that the expansion that began in the month of June was not the same with what we see here, as price was unable to break the previous high. So now that made me change my intention on the bullish momentum, as there is a possibility that price could go further, probably break down this bullish trend line, do a retest of structure, and push price to the downside. So what structure do we have at this point? So I moved up to the daily time frame to see what is happening. Here on the daily time frame, it becomes more clear that we might be having a reversal setup evolving at this point in time. We can say the first thing we'll notice is that we saw an impulsive move to the upside, and since price tested 144.400 area, we saw the first rejection in the month of June, and on the 10th of June price came into 137.800, came back into that area one more time and pushed right to the downside. So one thing we want to be doing here is to identify this area and call it a supply niche, as anytime price comes into this area, we always witness a move to the downside. So at this point, I want to be labeling this area as a supply zone. So let's do that. Let's label this area for the sake of clarity. So we have, hold on a second. Let's place this right in between the box we have here, and I would rather give this a light color. Okay, so we have a demand zone around this point that looks like a double top structure, which is yet to be confirmed. And with a double top structure, we all understand that if we identify a double top structure, definitely there's supposed to be a neckline. So at this point, I identified a key level at around this area. Hold on a second. Let me bring that out. Um, so I identified a key level at around 139.500 area. And why is that so? I will show you in a moment. If we look at what has been happening in the left, we see this area on the 21st of April, between 21st and 22nd of April, this area had been a resistance point where selling momentum was gathered at that point. Then we saw a breakout of structure in the month of June. Price did the retest of this area, making this area a demand zone. And price is right back. We saw a sharp rejection during the later part of last week's trading session, like a respect of this bullish trend line, but price did not come thus far into that key level this time. So now we are caught up in a dilemma at this point, as we don't know what is going to happen in the new week. Is price going to respect that bullish trend line and push price further up? Or is there a possibility that price will break down that bullish trend line and we see a retest of structure to push price to the downside? So two things are possible during the new week. So we're going to be very neutral at this point, as we want to see how price is going to play out in the early hours of the week in order to make a decision going forward. So one thing I'm going to be doing here is this. So we have an impulse leg here. We have an impulsive move here. And definitely after every impulse leg, we expect a retracement into a golden zone area, which is between the 50 and the 78.6% of the previous impulse leg. So in order to identify that, I want to bring out my Fibonacci retracement tool and run it through the previous impulse leg. And what are we going to be having here? So if we run that, we'll be aiming at between the 50 and the 78.6% as a possible area where we might be expecting a reversal pattern that will push price to the upside in the move with the hopes of a trend continuation. So what I want to be looking out for is this. We identify this area. So let's delete this. So what we want to be looking out for is this. There is a possibility that price in with the hopes of continuing that trend to the upside, we might be having price come into this area that is 138, between the 138 and the 135 area, where we might be looking for a reversal pattern that would push price to the upside. That is my first scenario here. That is for a selling momentum. And if that is going to happen, then we want to be selling the euro against the JPY. If we see a breakdown, that is a significant breakdown of that bullish trend line, it could come to a retest of the key level. Then we look out for a retest of structure on the sake of confirmation before we join the decline to the downside into the area we identified as our golden zone area. So I will want to label this area for the sake of clarity so that we could have a better visual of what we are looking at. So this will be the target for selling momentum. Let's just place it right in the middle of the box here. So we have it inside at the center, and then so we'll be having a selling momentum, a TP target for any selling momentum, which will dovetail to, let's say, at least a minimum of we're doing it 250, 300, 400 pips to catch if that move happens. So that is the first scenario I'm looking out for. Then the second scenario is if we scale up to the 4 hours time frame, scale down to the 4 hours time frame rather, we might be looking forward to, sorry, in addition to the selling momentum, I want to identify a temporary key level that will guide our action for any selling momentum going forward. If we bring out our line chart at this point, we look left, we can see this area has been a selling niche for participants in the market. We had a selling niche here, we had a selling niche here before this area became a demand zone. Then we had a demand and a selling niche around this area. So with this information, this area is more or less a significant level that has been more most of the time being a selling niche for participants in the market. So I would like to connect the series together, and this area will be around the 141.700 Japanese yen. So I would like to give this a purple to differentiate it from the major key level we identified earlier. So let's label it. We have temporary key, let's just short form temporary key level at 141.700, which I want to be placing at the top right hand side of my screen. So we have something like this. So we have a key level here. So to guide our actions for selling momentum, we want to see price oscillate right below this key level. That is, we want to continue to see rejection of the key level to push price to the downside. Now, for the bullish momentum, if the bullish momentum is going to happen this week, I want to see price break above that key level, do a retest of the structure, look out for patterns on lower time frame, a reversal pattern on lower time frame, let's say the 15 minutes, 1 hour time frame, 30 minutes time frame, and we look out for a reversal pattern that supports a trend continuation to the upside. So if that is going to be the case, that is, if we are really going to see a bullish momentum on this one, then where will our take profit target be? If we look left, we can see that we have an impulse leg here where the retracement into somewhere here is likely going to push price to the upside. So we want to definitely extend this impulse leg into the future. We want to project it into the future to determine where our take profit target will be. So bringing out our Fibonacci extension tool to clarify this, we run it through that impulse leg here, and then back into where it started, and then we aim at least between the 1414 and the 127.2% of the previous impulse leg. And what are we going to be having? So we're having somewhere around here, that is around the 146.5, 147 area as our new take profit target for any buying momentum here, which will dovetail to around a minimum of, let's say, 400, 350, 400 pips on this one. So this is my scenario here on the EURJPY. We have two scenarios: the possibility of a bullish momentum, and at the same time, the possibility of a bearish momentum if price continue to trend below the bullish trend line we identified earlier. And if price continue to rally right above this temporary key level at 141.700 area, we want to be looking for bullish potential from this point. So this is my scenario here. I would like to pause the video at this point and let us see how price is going to play out in the early hours of the week, after which I will be doing an update in that regard. You will want to join me on my TradingView platform. You can follow me on my TradingView platform so that you don't miss out on the regular updates I normally share in the comment section of the TradingView platform. If this video has somehow in any way be helpful in making your individual decision during the next week, kindly support me by liking and following me on my TradingView and YouTube channel. Thank you for watching, and do have a wonderful day.